Still trying to find something solely on religion. Today freedom of religion prevails everywhere, and the time is only a few years off when Christianity will fall to pieces altogether. It will be still easier for us to deal with the other religions, but it's too early to discuss that. Well, this point, we will confine the clergy and their teachings to such a small part in life, and their influence will be made so uncongenial to the populace that their teachings will have the opposite effect to what it used to have. When the time comes for us to completely destroy the papal court, an unknown, okay, so that's the Vatican, right? An unknown hand pointing towards the Vatican will give the signal for the assault. When the people in their rage throw themselves onto the Vatican, we shall appear as its protectors in order to stop bloodshed. By this act we will penetrate the very heart of this court, and then by no power on earth will expel us from it until we have destroyed the papal might. The King of Israel will become the true Pope of the universe, the Patriarch of the International Church. So possibly if you looked at the book of Revelations, you have got the answer there. Who's going to destroy Babylon, right? And fire, throw her into the sea, so she'll be seen no more. Her goods will be useless, etc., etc. These people penetrating the Vatican, probably Jesuits, okay, from the inside out. That's how they'll destroy it. But until we have accomplished the re-education of youth by means of new temporary religions, and subsequently by means of our own, we will not openly attack the existing churches, but will fight them by means of criticism, which already has and will continue to spread dissensions among them. So they're out there saying, oh, Christianity is this, Christianity is that. Your many rabbis on your YouTube channels, possibly. Generally speaking, our press will denounce governments, religions and other Gentile institutions by means of all kinds of unscrupulous articles, in order to discredit them to such an extent as our wise nation only is capable of doing. Our government will resemble the Hindu god Vishnu. Each of our hands will hold one spring of the social machinery of state. We shall know everything, without the aid of official police, which we have so corrupted for the Gentiles that it only prevents the government from seeing real facts. Our program will induce a third part of the populace to watch the remainder from a pure sense of duty and from the principle of voluntary government service. Then it will not be considered dishonourable to be a spy. On the contrary, it will be regarded as praiseworthy. On the other hand, the bearers of false reports will be severely punished in order to prevent abuse being made of the privilege of report. Okay, looks like the police system will be totally controlled by them. They can't do this and they can't do that unless they say so. It must be known that we have destroyed the prestige of reigning Gentiles by means of a number of private assassinations, accomplished by our agents, the blind sheep of our flock, who can easily be induced to commit a crime, so long as such crime is of a political character. The best means to meet government expenses will be by a progressive taxation of property. Thus taxation will be paid without oppressing or ruining the people, and the amount of it at which it will be assessed will depend on the value of each individual property. It must be understood by the rich that it is their duty to hand over part of their surplus wealth to the government, because the government guarantees them safe possession of the remainder of the property and gives them the right to earn money by honest means. I say honest, or it says honest, because the control of property will preclude robbery on legal grounds. So they can probably come in and rob you, and it's all legal. Will rob you of your money from your bank accounts, etc. This social reform must be in the forefront of our program, as it is the principal guarantee of peace and will brook no delay. There will be a progressive stamp duty on all sales and purchases, as well as death duties. Any transaction without the required stamp will be considered illegal, and the former owner will be obliged to pay to the government a percentage on the duty from the date of the sale. Okay, so it's like some sort of limitation there. So you can only buy what they allow you to buy. Is that what you're saying there? And if you don't have that stamp to purchase it or sell it, it will be considered illegal. Wow. All economic crises which we have so skillfully arranged in Gentile countries we carried out by means of withdrawing currency from circulation. Large fortunes are congested, money being withdrawn from the government, which in its turn is obliged to appeal to the owners of such fortunes in order to raise loans. These loans have put heavy burdens on the governments, compelling them to pay interest on the borrowed money and thus tying their hands. I think that you know that gold currency has been a destruction of all states which have adopted it, because it could not satisfy the requirements of the population, all the more so because we have done our best to cause it to be congested and to be withdrawn from circulation. Our government will have a currency based on the value of the working power of the country, and it will be of paper or even of wood. We will issue currency sufficient for each subject, adding to this amount on the birth of every child and diminishing it with the death of each person. And there's a statement here about a calculation that such loans under the existing system of taxation 1901 draw the last cents from the poor taxpayer in order to pay interest to foreign capitalists from whom the state has borrowed the money, instead of collecting the necessary sum from the nation free of all interest in the shape of taxation. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay, so something here. A ruler must arise who will supersede the existing governments which have been living upon a crowd, whose demoralization we ourselves have brought about among flames of anarchy. Such a ruler must commence by extinguishing these flames, which are incessantly springing up from all sides. In order to obtain such a result, he must destroy all societies which may be the origin of these flames, even if he has to shed his own blood. He must form a well-organized army, which will anxiously fight the infection of any anarchy, which may poison the body of the government. Our sovereign will be chosen by God and appointed from above in order to destroy all ideas influenced by instinct and not by reason, by brutal principles and not by humanity. At present, these ideas successfully prevail in the robberies and violence under the banner of right and freedom. Such ideas have destroyed all social organizations, thus leading to the reign of the King of Israel. But the part will be played as soon as the reign of our sovereign commences. Then we must sweep them away, so that no dirt should lie in our sovereign's path. Then we shall be able to say to the nations, pray to God and bow down before him who bears the mark of the predestination of the world, and whose star God himself guided, in order that none other but himself should be able to set humanity free from all sin. Now I will deal with the manner in which we will strengthen the dynasty of King David, in order that it may endure until the last day. Our manner of securing the dynasty will consist chiefly of the same principles which have given to our wise men the management of the world's affairs, that is to say, the direction and education of the whole human race. Several members of the seed of David will prepare kings and their successors, who will be elected not by right of inheritance but by their own capabilities. These successors will be initiated in our secret political mysteries and plans of governing, taking great care that no one else should acquire them. The King of Israel must not be under the influence of his own passions, especially that of sensuousness. He must not allow animal instincts to get the better of his brain. Sensuousness, more than any other passion, is certain to destroy all mental and foreseeing powers. It distracts men's thoughts towards the worst side of human nature. The column of the universe in the person of the world ruler sprung from the holy seed of David has to forego all personal passions for the benefit of his people. All personal passions for the benefit of his people. So, by the sounds of that, this person is not. He's probably a human. He's not really divine. He's just somebody that's come to power. Okay? But he has his own passions. He might be affected by his own passions, especially that of sensuousness, sexual passions, right? So they're saying he must not allow animal instincts to get the better of his brain. You can't be either of the devil and you've got these lusts and perversions, these desires, etc., these sensual urges, these animal instincts, or are you a human being susceptible to those? Here it sounds very good and prosperous, but that could be the tricky, deceitful cunning of it, right? As history developed, the scheme was worked out in detail and completed by men who were subsequently initiated in this question. These learned men decided by peaceful means to conquer the world for Zion with the slyness of the symbolic serpent, whose head was to represent the initiated into the plans of the Jewish administration, and the body of the serpent to represent the Jewish people. The administration was always kept secret, even from the Jewish nation itself. As this serpent penetrated into the hearts of the nations which is encountered, it got under and devoured all the non-Jewish power of these states. it is foretold that the snake has to finish its work, strictly adhering to the design plan, until the course which it has to run is closed by the return of its head to Zion, and until by this means the snake has completed its round of Europe and has encircled it, and until by dint of enchaining Europe it has encompassed the whole world. This it is to accomplish by using every endeavour to subdue the other countries by an economical conquest. So that snake, could that be the devil? Or something completely different? The return of the head of the serpent to Zion can only be accomplished after the power of all the sovereigns of Europe has been laid low. That is to say, when by means of economic crises and wholesale destruction effectual everywhere, there should have been brought about a spiritual demoralization and a moral corruption, chiefly with the assistance of Jewish women masquerading as French, Italians, etc. These are the surest spreaders of licentiousness into the lives of the leading men at the heads of nations. Women in the service of Zion act as a decoy for those who, thanks to them, are always in need of money, and therefore are always ready to barter their conscience for money. This money is in reality only lent by the Jews, for it quickly returns through the same woman into the hands of bribing Jewry. But through these transactions, slaves are brought to the cause of Zion. It is natural for the success of such an undertaking that neither the public officials nor private individuals should suspect the part played by the woman employed by Jewry. Therefore, the directors of the cause of Zion formed, as it were, a religious caste, eager followers of the Mosaic law and of the statutes of the Talmud. All the world believes that the mask of the law of Moses is the real rule of life of the Jews. No one thought of investigating the effect of this rule of life, especially as all eyes were directed on the gold which could be supplied by the caste, and which gave this caste absolute freedom for its economical and political intrigues. As a sketch of the course of the symbolic serpent is shown as follows. Its first stage in Europe was in 429 BC in Greece, where in the time of Pericles the serpent first started eating into the power of that country. The second stage was in Rome in the time of Augustus about 69 BC, the third in Madrid in the time of Charles V in 1552 AD, the fourth in Paris about 1700 in the time of Louis XVI. The fifth in London from 1814 onwards after the downfall of Napoleon, the sixth in Berlin in 1871 after the Franco-Prussian War, the seventh is St. Petersburg, over which is drawn the head of the serpent under the date of 1881. All these states which the serpent traversed have had the foundations of the constitution shaken, Germany with its apparent power forming no exception to the rule. In economic conditions, England and Germany are spared, but only till the conquest of Russia is accomplished by the serpent, on which at present all its efforts are concentrated. The further course of the serpent is not shown on this map, but arrows indicate its next movement towards Moscow, Kiev and Odessa. It is now well known to us what extent the latter cities form the centres of the militant Jewish race. Constantinople is shown as the last stage of the serpent's course. Note that this map was drawn years before the revolution in Turkey, before it reaches Jerusalem. Only a short distance still remains before the serpent will be able to complete its course by uniting its head to its tail. In order to enable the serpent to pass easily over its course, the following measures were taken by Zion with the purpose of recasting society and converting the labour classes. First of all, the Jewish race was so organised that none should penetrate into it and thus disclose its secrets. God himself is supposed to have told the Jews that they were predestined to rule over the whole earth in the form of an indivisible kingdom of Zion. They have been told that they are the only race which deserves to be called human, all the rest being intended to remain working brutes and slaves of the Jews, and that their object must be the conquest of the world and the erection of the throne of Zion over the universe. See Sanhedrin 91, 21, 10, 51. The Jews were taught that they are supermen and that they must keep themselves apart from all other nations. These theories inspire the Jews with an idea of self-glorification, because they are by right the sons of God. See Jihad 67, Sanhedrin 58:2. The secluded mode of living on the race of Zion is strictly adhered to by the system of the Kagal, which compels every Jew to help his kinsman independent of the assistance which he receives from their local administrations, which screens the government of Zion from the eyes of those on the Gentile states, which in their turn always eagerly defend the Jewish self-government, erroneously regarding them as a purely religious sect. The above mentioned ideas instilled into the Jews have also considerably influenced their material life. When we read such works as Go Payon, 14, page 1, Ibn Gazir, 44, page, and so forth, which were all written in order. To glorify the Jewish race, we see that they really treat all Gentiles as though they were beasts, created only to serve them. They think that people's properties and even their lives belong to the Jews, and that God permits His chosen race to make what use they like of them. It does make you wonder, in the case of anti-Semitism, if you say something like the Jew, things get shut down by different organisations. They get blocked, cut off, okay, because you realise something and then you express something, maybe you find it in a book or something like that, boom, you get punished for it. Okay, it's kind of weird. Okay, it's mainly there to stop you from speaking out against them, I guess. So we've read. That's what it's been put in place by them, so you can never say something bad about them and get away with it. But apparently they can say things about you and get away with it. It's just what we've read. But they keep going on about Christ. I thought the Jews didn't believe in Jesus. It has here, the light of Christ alone and that of His holy universal church can penetrate into the satanic depths and reveal the extent of their wickedness. Maybe this person's author is talking about these Zionists, etc. These elders of Zion. That's probably what it is. Okay, looks like it's the end of the book. No index. Well, that was very interesting. We might have to read that again and learn those particular points. Know them off by heart. You probably have to read it again to fully understand what they're actually trying to say. This guy is actually trying to say, this author.